Happy Pride, happy
Yes, happy to
June.
see
Happy
everyone.
Pride, everyone.
Yes. And happy summer. Like it is just like we're stepping into a new season, embracing all kind of beautiness around us. So it's a beautiful time to be here.
I'm
Well,
so
let's jump
glad.
right into
Literally,
it. What were you
literally had.
saying?
I was just saying, literally had the worst winter, so I'm glad it's like picking up with the heat and stuff like that. Yeah, that's all.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're picking it up from here. It's going to be a good one. So we want to welcome everyone to It Gets Better Digital Pride. This is In Conversation, the weekly show where we come and chat about the things that matter to LGBTQ plus youth. And so we are so happy that you all are here. We have these beautiful special guests today. I can barely keep my seat. Today with us, we have activist, speaker, world record holder, like model Harnaam Kaur. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for
We
having
also
me.
have
Thank you.
model and renowned champion for diversity in the fashion industry, Ady Del Valle is here.
Thank you.
And we also have It Gets Better youth voice, creative, and activist. Hailey is here. Welcome
Hi,
to
y'all.
everyone. Hello, hello,
Hi.
hello. And I am Justin. I will be your moderator today. Let's get our conversation kicked off. Today, we're talking about body positivity, self love, and acceptance in the LGBTQ plus space and what you all's journeys have been on this road. And so, just to talk in general, Harnam, can you start it off for us and tell us what your journey to self love and acceptance has been?
Exactly that. It's been a journey. Um, the thing is when I talk about, I don't really talk about self-love anymore. I think I talk a lot more about kindness and self-care and things like that. I think if we speak about self-love, there's millions of people out there that are still dealing with their trauma, and how is it that, they're going to wake up one morning just because her Kaur said, love yourself, that they're going to love themselves. It's like they've gone through decades of trauma and all of a sudden they're going to love. It doesn't work that way. You've got to start off by being kind and, recognizing, that it's okay to be down. It's okay to not have great days. It's okay to not be okay, as people say. And then that's where the journey starts, is when you start to look after yourself a lot more, understand your triggers, trying to overcome them or deal with them or build your life around them in a positive way, and then you'll start seeing things in this world in a different sort of mindset, and then at the end of it, you can be like, you know what, life's actually pretty great. Like maybe I do love myself, but it starts with being kind, being able to create a safe space where you can just be yourself. It starts from that. So self-love, don't really speak about it. I like to talk about more about personal development and things like that. I think that's the starting point. That's what's important. So for me, that was my pivotal moment where I was actually really down and, not in the best sort of mental health space. And I realized that life is for me to live, and I can either do it by degrading myself by, you know, joining people and their sort of norm and their beauty standards, or I can redefine it to what fits in my life. And that's exactly what I did. And only then I was able to find that sort of self love because, hey, I found myself. And that was a really hard thing to do, especially when you're young and, obviously I'm Punjabi and, we don't really talk about certain things in our community. So it was difficult.
Absolutely. That grace and kindness, extending grace and kindness to ourselves first is definitely where that begins. Where did you find yourself in your personal journey, Adi?
I kind of like relate to Harmon's story as well. It's kind of similar. I feel like I had to do like a self-discovery moment of myself as well, especially I'm pretty recent, honestly, like the last couple of years. Um, and kind of like finding what, what stepping back and who is Adi, who he wants to, be in this world and what he just wants to portray. And again, it's like kind of defining that for myself first before I can put out in the world what people should be doing or feeling, how am I feeling first? And for me it was kind of like, like a self-analyzing, stepping back moment, like how am I going to take up space? How I want to do that, while still, being a voice and finding, that, that thing within me to be that, in our community, but, in the spaces that I work in.
Yes. Yes, that's a lot of discovery and really thinking about like, okay, I know how the world might see me, but how do I see myself? How do I, love on me for who I am? That's such a powerful experience. Um, and how about yourself, Haley? Your journey in body positivity and acceptance and self-love. How did that journey go for you?
I gotta follow that. Like I gotta follow them too. I don't know if I could do this.
No
Um,
pressure.
no, but my journey's really still ongoing. I started my transition only about a year ago now, and I've finally made it to a place and a state where I feel safe, truly expressing who I am and truly exploring, what is my relationship with my body, because for so long it's been almost there is no relationship with it. There is no attachment to it, and I'm finally gaining that back. I'm finally pushing myself to experiment and make myself uncomfortable in the things that I do and the way that I portray myself and the way that I express who I really want to be and express who I want to see myself as in the future and today. So it's just ongoing. It's a process, and I'm excited to see where it takes me.
Yes. I really appreciate you being like for so many of us, a year into our journey of living in our truth and discovering ourselves, we're still like hiding and you're like, here's Haley and she's fabulous and we
Exactly.
love it. Absolutely. What does that mean to you all to even we speak of this notion of showing up as yourself and all of the different things to, feel confident and all of that. But what does that actually even mean, do you think, just on a base level to show up as yourself?
I think there's a sense of
uh
freedom that you feel as well.
Go ahead.
When you
Mm,
just show up and you're unashamedly you, and it's one of those things where people can either accept you or they can keep on walking, take a picture, it lasts longer. And there's a sense of like, even like just for me personally, there's a sense of freedom that I feel just being myself. But that comes from having to be strong over and over again daily, knowing that I can't break, knowing that I can't have a down day. And if I do, like, pick yourself back up, and that having that sort of mindset or state of mind or whatever is difficult, having to be that ruthless, having to be, especially when you're not the norm, especially when you're othered every single day, especially when you look so different, and the world is trying to stick you in these small boxes. I live by my body, my rules. That's it. I don't care about anything else aside from my body, my rules. And just by saying that or chanting that affirmation just gave me a sense of liberation that I never felt before. And no one gave it to me but myself. And that was it. But like we were saying yesterday, like I understand that some people are not at that position. That's fine, because there's always that stepping stone. Um, and we all have to take it, but also sometimes it's not safe to come out, you know sometimes it's not safe to be just say I am trans. Sometimes it's not safe to say, look, I am gay, because we know it's easier, probably a lot easier to say in the West, but over on the East side, and I always think about them, especially when it comes to like celebratory months and things like that, International Women's Day, things like that. I think about everyone in the East because I'm like, East easy for me, but being gay, they're getting beaten up and thrown off of buildings. It's not easy to come out, you know? So I think creating a safe space is so important, but I think that freedom that you feel just by saying, I am who I am and this is who I am, and just being that entirety every single day, it's mind blowing. And I hope everyone at least once in their life can actually experience that sense of freedom.
I think we're all taking a page out of your book right now. I'm
Hmm.
repeating to myself, like, my body, my rules. You all can say it with me if you like. My body,
My body, my
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 rules.
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 It
Hmm.
feels so good to affirm that for ourselves, because sometimes we are the only source. You being each individual person is the only source that will initially come from. Addie, let's talk about a little bit that piece, what Harnaam was talking about, the notion of intersectionality and how we are many things, not just queer. Sometimes it's the community that we come from. Sometimes it is how we show up in our physical bodies, that can present different things that we need to overcome, on our journeys to self-love.
Right. Yeah, it's just like everyone's journey is so like individual and so different, but at the same time the same, especially in our community. There's always like these links that we can relate to, and like for me growing up, I had to pretend to be someone I wasn't till really later in my life, to like when I came out. So it's like it was always like showing up being someone else. I wasn't able to show up and be the real me that I always thought I was in my head, just since I was a kid. And like again, it's like the culture, the way we grew up, the spaces we're in. Sometimes we don't have safe spaces, or people we think we don't have people we can reach out to that can help us, or we can vent to and talk to about how we're feeling or what's going on with ourselves. And like me, I grew up that way. I grew up in a household where I thought I had to hide myself, and I know that exists still to this day in many houses and in many cultures and many homes. And like Harmon said, it's not safe for a lot of people. They don't feel safe to do that. And I think it's important for us, like using these platforms that we have, to be able to, for them to at least visually see people like us being authentically ourselves. Like I'm still trying, on my journey, on my life journey of, identity and who I am and what I want to put out into the world. And I think it's so important that in the work we do, we kind of like portray that and be that light for people that are looking at us, because they might not be able to maybe feel as free for where they're at, but if they can maybe
Yeah.
see us, or we can be that image or something, it gives them
Mm.
hope that, oh my God, Addie or Haman, or everyone on this panel, like I identify like them, or I can relate with them, and they can at least see it, even if they don't feel safe physically doing so at the moment. And hopefully, maybe in the future, they do one day feel safe. But I think it's important for, us and people that are able to be voices for, the next generation, the generation now, to kind of show that and be that and kind of use our voices and our image and our platforms to be that.
It's
Adi.
so, the space that you all take up is nothing to be taken lightly. Being these faces and voices that are saying, like, yes, and giving us all of this positivity. How do you, Hailey, as a creative, restore yourself? We give out a lot of energy and put all this positivity into the world while we're on our own personal journeys. How do you use your creativity to show up as yourself and kind of refill your vessel?
I think for me, my creativity and specifically my writing, I love it so much as that outlet because it's not always positive. It's there for me on the days where life is just not treating me right and where I'm having a bad day. It's there for me for the days where I go out in public and I don't feel safe, and it's there for me on the days that I do, you know? And that creativity has gotten me through so much, and it continues to, and I know it will. And I also have to say, when we're talking about that representation and that visibility, if I had grown up, I mean, I grew up in a very small town in middle of nowhere, Alabama. If I had grown up seeing someone like any of these people on this panel, I would have felt so encouraged and so safe and nurtured. And that safety that I'm now having to create for myself and find through panels like this and find through this project. And I just want to say, like, to the both of you that I just think it's incredible the work that you're doing, and it makes me feel so warm and so loved and seen and affirmed. And maybe you'll both be in my next creative piece. I don't know. I'll send you an email.
Yes, let's do it. Don't, you're
We
gonna
got you,
make me
babe.
cry.
I
You're
know.
gonna make me
Thank you.
cry.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Thank you.
Yes. So Harnam, how do you inspire people? Like it's kind of after, getting into this conversation, I feel like you are you 1000% and you just kind of radiate your truth in such a way, in such an influential and positive way. But how do you personally like inspire people to be themselves and to embrace their inner light?
Can I be very honest? I don't.
Absolutely. Let's
I
talk
don't.
about it. Hmm.
I show up as myself, and I think that within itself is a testament, you know. It makes people question, how is it that this person, you know, has breasts but then has a beard and then wears makeup but then wears a turban and all these things. Like, I question people without even, like, I make people question what they know is the norm, you know? And that is the challenge that they have to then understand for themselves. It's got nothing to do with me, but then a part of me has to be that educator, because someone has to be that educator to then show people that there's just not, you know, two ways to go about certain things, two ways to live. There's colors, there's beauty out there, there's so much, like artistic things and beings, that this is what we are as people. And by suppressing our the urge that we have to be ourselves, we are doing society an injustice, because our differences and who we truly are is what is needed for this society to flourish. We forget the power that we have as people, you know? I don't go out there and be like, I'm going to inspire someone today. It's got nothing to do with that. I show up and I talk, and that's it. My only purpose in life is to add value, and that's it. And I do that by sharing my truth, the greatness that is my life, the bad pitfalls that can be my life as well. And that's it. You show up as you, wholeheartedly you, unashamedly you, most importantly, and you speak your truth where it's safe for you to do so.
Wow.
That, listen, it all comes back to us, and even that self-love piece, like that is your self-love, is showing up as yourself, being you, loving on the woman that you are, and taking that into the world. And that is some food for thought, because I think a lot of times we're thinking about externalizing these things, and when all we have to do is be. And Ady, I feel like your career is a beautiful example of that. How can fashion in and of itself be a tool for self-love and self-empowerment?
Like fashion, like for me was used to be in the beginning. I always love fashion. Used to be about clothes and all the glam and stuff. Like all that is fabulous and fun and stuff. But the older I got and getting submerged in this industry, I've learned so much. But I've also stepped back so many times to observe how the industry moves and how it influences people. Because you kind of have to do that analyzing of like, wait, what is my purpose here? Like, what am and especially in fashion, because fashion is such a big influence in so many spaces. And it's like, I'm this one person and that looks like this trying to take up space in fashion. It's fashion has been more of like a self-expression. I think fashion is something that I personally use. I know a lot of people use as self-expression for themselves of how they've always seen themselves. Like I'm doing that now. Like I'm in a self-discovery phase with fashion. Like I'm like wearing things I would have normally worn a year ago. And I'm like, and I've always wanted to wear it, let's say like a pleated skirt or something or whatever it is. And I'm like, it's little things, it's small things, but it's almost like something you like day that you always wanted to do because it's how you feel inside. You want to portray that on the outside because it's you, it's who you are. And I try to kind of like be that in the, in any space I am in the fashion industry, if it's on set or whatever event or whatever I'm at. I want to make sure, like Harmon said, I show up as myself and I want to show up as my genuine self, and be that, and people see that and feel that and be like, you know what? Like I want to, do that and be that, and I'm like, you can, like, it's just easy. And I know it's a work in progress for everyone. Everyone's journey is individual. And like for me, was just like in any space I am in the fashion industry, I want to make sure I'm like, speaking up and taking up. I always use this term. I've been using this term so a lot. It's taking up space. It's so important. Like, just show up and take up the space that we're normally not in, and kind of like show like we are here. We exist. We deserve to be here, regardless what we look like, how we identify, and how we express ourselves. We're here.
Yes, take up that space.
Yeah.
Take up that space. Um, so before we turn into questions, any questions that we may have had from our audience, Photography said visibility, how important and powerful that is to have those examples out there. Hailey, did you have a question for Ady?
Yeah, let me look at my notes.
Okay.
Gotta come prepared, y'all. Um, well, they kind of just answered it for me, talking about their journey in the modeling space. Um, but I'll just attest to what they just said about the experimentation with fashion is so powerful. The fact that I'm sitting here on a live in front of people wearing a dress. If you came into my house a year ago and told me I'd be doing that, I would have said, no, 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 who slipped something in my drink? Like, y'all must have
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
crazy. But I just want to say, like, how powerful it is to see Ady being their true selves. I know I've already said this already. I'll say it 100 times again. Um, just to see someone who's not, the way that people think models look like when they first think of a model and they think of, oh, Gigi and Bella Hadid, but they don't think of someone that looks like me or Ady. And I'm so glad that Ady is changing that, and Ady's changing that perception and how people view fashion and modeling and people's relationship with that world that's so often toxic, and that Ady's making it such a warm, welcoming, and inviting space.
Thank you. That's exactly it. Thank you. I got chills. Thank you. Like that. That means no. That means a lot because that's what I want to put out into the world. Like I don't like I said in the beginning. It's like the glam and the events. Everything is all fun and glamour, but I want to make sure what I put out and like what you said, literally, it gives me confirmation in what I'm doing. It's, people are seeing the purpose, and it's not just like a bunch of photos of myself on Instagram and stuff. I want to make sure like, what the work I'm doing, and sometimes I feel I'm not doing enough and I can do more. I can always do more. We all can always do more. And what you just said, I like really like, thank you. Like you literally fed like a lot of light into me, and I kind, it was nice hearing that. And I appreciate it. And I'm so glad that that's something that someone like you is seeing, and I'm portraying that into the world, and hopefully helping someone in some shape or form, no matter how small it is.
Beautiful. So last question I want to throw to everyone is any lasting advice for trans and queer youth who are finding themselves on the journey to self-acceptance? Let's start with you, Harnaam.
Oh wow, that's a big question. That's again, like I just want to go back to what I was speaking about is, show up in your truth and, be kind to yourself, knowing that you're sort of having to navigate in a society that might not be kind, be kind to yourself. Your mental health is so important. And to those that are feeling like they don't belong or they don't have a space in this world, because I remember feeling the same way, I would say there absolutely are. There is a safe space for you. There are communities out there that you can reach out to. Maybe if your close ones aren't all that supportive, there are people here that are rooting for you to survive and sort of um, celebrate, yeah, and to be celebrated as well, and to shower this world with your uniqueness. It's needed. And I just want to say, be kind. Just be kind to yourself. Be safe. You know, protect your mental health. Reach out to people where you feel that you know you feel comfortable in talking to. I will always say that when there are injustices happening in this world, there will always be activists, amazing activists that will stand up against certain things. So you're not alone. Please don't feel like you're alone. We're here to help, and we're here to add value to you. So yeah, enjoy Pride Month in all your glory.
Ady, same to you. Any lasting
Yeah.
advice?
Same. Honestly, same. Like one thing when I get asked that question, I'm like, what has helped me? What still helps me? And it's really literally surrounding myself that has set me for me, with people that have set me for me,
Yeah.
friends or family or whoever, and whatever community you were able to build along your journey that are still around you. I think it's so important to have people around you that support you, or you can again, it's easier said than done because some people don't have that, but if it's not safe for you to be around those people or whatever it is, something as simple as who you follow on social media is so important. Those are social media can sometimes be a safe space. So I try to make sure my page is a safe space. So if you're not safe in the physical, where you're at, whoever you're following, maybe right there, right in front of your face, that could be your safe space. And and I think that's so super important is finding ways where you can be yourself, and just surround yourself with people that really want to allow you to be you, don't question you, and just you are able to just generally just show up as yourself with the people that are there. Reach out to people. I always say I try to answer everyone, but my DMs are open if anybody needs help or whatever. I'm always, I try to make myself available. But again, it's super important, your surroundings. That's the biggest advice I can give is you're the people who are around you that you feel the safest with.
Hailey?
I would say the same of being kind to yourself, and also to know, because I've rejected it for so long, just to know how powerful you are and to know how strong you are, and that you have centuries and thousands of years of trans and queer ancestors backing you in your fight, whatever that fight looks like for you. Because if you're trans and queer in today's society, you're going to be fighting something. It's inevitable. I know how hard it is to look up on the news in the morning and to see your rights at stake in every which way. I know how hard it is to be crying in your guidance counselor's office for the third time in a week and just shutting yourself out. But through all of that, you never lose your power, you never lose your strength, and you never lose your connection to the community, no matter how isolated your surroundings may make you. Just like they've both said, you're always connected in some way or another. You can always find that hope and that help and that love and light, and just never lose sight of that, and never lose sight of the ways that not only others can help you, but you can help yourself by realizing just how beautiful you are, how powerful you
You actually made me cry.
are.
We're all over here like being just so much love being poured in. I feel like my cup is overflowing. Um,
Same.
yes, again, I extend so much gratitude to each of you, Harnaam, to Hailey, to Ady, to this beautiful space that we've been able to create, and everyone who joined us.